Okay. So this is really the first time I'm going to edit a sharing video. But there was a guy from the gardening crew who came by, and I just felt so distracted. Like my consciousness was so much with him, and whoa, he's maybe listening to what I'm saying. Would he understand English, etc. That I just couldn't focus anymore, and I kept talking, but it just wasn't me or something. So I thought, well, let's just delete that part and start over. And in the meantime, I've written my blog post, but I just not really feel like sharing anymore. I feel a bit too self-absorbed, I think, because I also shared about all my experiences in the post I just wrote, so it feels a bit like, oh my god, I'm sick of talking about the ending of my relationship. I'm sick of thinking about my launch. Still have to write those stupid emails today. Yeah, let's talk about the resistance. Let's explore it. So I have to. Last week I did the webinars, and since then I've only sent out a replay email, which was like, whoa, it's the easiest email, but it took me so much effort to send it out. And now I have to create the sales emails, and I just feel so stuck. Maybe I should make a post in the mastermind group telling that I'm struggling with it. And I want to send them from the right place, not like, oh, now I have to do this, but really from an energy of, I believe in this course, and I want to invite people in, and not that, oh, I have to do it, because otherwise I can't quit my working day and I have to keep working till I'm done. And I have to do it today because I already procrastinated too much with it, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know what I now need to be able to do that. My mouth is a bit dry. Sorry for the interruption. Yeah, I just don't know. I feel a bit like a beginner again lately. Lately, as in the past few days. But, I felt a lot like a beginner, and then about a year ago I started to feel a little bit more experience, and the past few months I felt like, whoa, I've started to understand this entrepreneur thing, and now I just feel like I lost it all again. I feel like a beginner in my spiritual growth as well, because of the moments I feel so attached and so depending on my ex-boyfriend. Like, oh, why isn't this easier for me? But okay, I shouldn't forget how fucking terrible it was for me in the beginning to send out those sales emails. Oh my god. Yeah, I now remember. There was this one time when I was in the co-working retreat, and I was talking about this issue, and it felt so impossible to write them. So hard. So if I think about that, it's pretty good. It's still better than it was back then, I guess. And then my life was just okay. Oh, that sweet time when it just seemed like things could be okay for quite a while. I'm really longing for a more quiet life, and I find it also so hard I have to start living somewhere else someday soon. It's so weird because I planned my travels to Asia, I think like 2 days after I bought my ticket, my plane ticket, and the dates were like set, and I couldn't schedule it around anymore. Then I broke up. And then it was like, oh fuck, now I have 2 months left in which it doesn't make sense to move out of this house, because then I'm going to leave my rented apartment for 3 months. So it's sort of more logical to just sit it out. And it's not like that. I mean, my ex-boyfriend and I are just we can get along good, and it's just a challenge to keep coming back to ourselves and not go back into the old relationship again. But it's actually going pretty well, and I also felt like I just needed to have my own space and not be with friends, and like, okay, be with friends would be cool, but not live at their place while not having a place of my own. So anyway, I decided to stay, but then this is 2 months, then I'm going traveling for 3 months. Then in March, it makes sense to find a new home, and it feels like only then I can really know where I want to live and how I want to live and with whom I want to live. But I feel so annoyed by not knowing my plans. There's so much insecurity in my life. And now my relationship, or the lack thereof, is one big insecurity mess. I don't know how to... Is that something you can say? It feels a bit like that. My company is like, it's in some way very predictable, but it's also very unpredictable. You know, it's not like I have a job which is very stable. I have a company that's sort of stable, but it doesn't feel like that at all. And then I even want to move to a different place, probably a different country. I'm not sure if maybe Dan and I will get back together, and then we maybe decide to live together, or we stay friends and we decide to live together. Like, it's a weird breakup. I can see all these things happen, and I can also see it happen that we stay in a relationship and we do not live together. We find our own place, but we pick the same city together, or we just, it all dies and it all is done. I might go and live with my sister. I might go to Berlin and live by myself. Am I really going to do that? I have like one friend in Berlin who's also a business friend, sort of. I'm not really sure what she's doing with her business right now, or if she's really doing it or stopped doing it. I don't know. The big question is Utrecht or Berlin. And I'm sticking to those two options. I'm not going to make it more complicated for myself, but I'm scared that in Utrecht I will miss the contact with other entrepreneurs and a bit like free-minded people or something like that. People who just do what they love with their life and who are really inspiring and this kind of things. And then in Berlin I'm afraid it will just be too scary, too big, too out of my comfort zone, too much still Germany. In the way that in Netherlands I feel like I can really settle, because at least I'm officially allowed to have my company there, and here I'm just always doing as if I'm still living in the Netherlands to get the registration around, and it's always difficult with going to a doctor's and my health insurance and all these things. It just doesn't feel really grounded. It feels like I glued together some sort of solution and I hope it will stick for the time I'm here, which is not that nice. It doesn't give a lot of comfort and security. And it's so weird because I never lived from that place of looking for security. Maybe I said this in my previous sharing video too. I'm really sorry if I just repeat myself. But this is what's in my head all the time. It's so weird to choose security, but I might need it. It might be the best decision for my happiness right now. And keep the insecurities of my having a business, just that, not the rest of my life. And I think I should just go to Utrecht, but it feels weird. It feels like not the same enthusiasm with which I usually move places. I've always been super excited about moving somewhere. Moving to Groningen when I went studying. Even moving to Freiburg, although it was a bit weird because I actually wanted to go to Berlin. Sometimes I'm really scared that I make one big mistake by going to Freiburg. That it was just weird because I couldn't settle here and I never made friends. and it has been like a beautiful city to live in with all the nature and so different, and it has had advantages too to be far away from my old friends, because it kind of kept me stuck in this feeling, because they didn't see me as a successful entrepreneur, and it made it harder for me to see myself that way. So at the beginning it was good, but yeah, I feel like I just never really made something out of this place, and that's so not me. I feel like I let everything just kind of slip away or something, and I understand it too, because man, I've been building a company in the meantime. Oh, it's I wish that was more seen as something that's really intense, or as intense and big as it is. I think what I've done with my company in the past 2 years, that was harder and actually like a bigger achievement or something more built than doing my studies, 4-year studies. But when you think about society, it's like so much more appreciated when you finish your studies than when you have a company for 2 years and it's just started to make you €1,000 per month, barely. It's so much less and so hard to appreciate all the effort that I did. If I would have been saying, oh, I put a 4-year study in 2 years, then it would be like, whoa, I get that you don't have a social life. And with a business, it just doesn't work that way, even though it's harder, because even like putting it, I don't want to discard people who have done this and that's amazing too, and I think you can't really anyway compare those things, or compare any work or effort or suffering or whatever, but in a way it seems easier, because 2 years of studies in 4 years, that just means working double so hard, which is awful, but you're done and you're very clear, and someone says, okay, now you have to do this, this is your curriculum, this is the things you have to do to get those credits. But with a company, it's just like, you never know when the work is done, you never know how much more you have to work, you always feel like you have to work more, and you have to decide all the time yourself what you're going to work on, and you most of the time don't even know if it's the best thing to work on, and if it will really move your company forward, or that you should better be doing something else. And there's so much self-doubt, and oh my god, all the beliefs you have about yourself are so visible when you run a company. Yeah, it's intense, man. It is, and I wish we could give ourselves some more credit for that. I'm sure I can't. Yeah, it's time to. So what did I do in Freiburg? I built a company. Do I feel glad about that? Even if I see it like, whoa, that's a pretty impressive thing? I don't know. I think there's this part of me that thinks, but shouldn't I have enjoyed life? And enjoying life in a very particular way, like making friends and doing a lot of adventures. Because I did quite a lot enjoy my life. I was just very weird bubble with my boyfriend and my company. That was pretty much all that existed in my world, and online Skype calls with business friends and mentors. That's what it was. And it was pretty fun. I was quite happy, except, that sometimes just it was really hard. When I had a launch that went wrong, or when my sister left the company, those times were really hard, and I've had some major relationship crises too along the way, which were really hard. But in between those periods, and there was oh, this is not a good story. Isn't it funny, by the way, how long I keep talking after I say, I don't really feel like sharing. I feel so self-absorbed right now. I did also feel lonely sometimes, missing friendships. And maybe not even so much friendships, but just having people with similar experiences who understand you when you say, whoa, my launch was terrible, or I felt disappointed because of this and this, or oh, I'm devastated because I got a hate mail. These kind of things, people will get that. And only have that with Julia, I think, and that's a little bit sad, lonely. um, but I was also very happy. But it somehow feels like a sort of waste, even though I built this whole thing that is sort of like a legacy, and it's not like working in a day job. I'm thinking of of my ex-boyfriend who has then been doing quite like that, just working in a day job that he finds kind of okay, but it's just mainly because it brings in money. He's not that passionate about it, but he likes it. And then he has been in a relationship with me, and that was his bubble. He didn't make even less friends than I did. So, oh my god, if that was me, I would feel so terribly unfulfilled right now, especially when the relationship ends. Like, oh my god, what did you spend the past 2 years on, you know? Maybe it sounds a bit weird or mean, but that's how I would feel in his place. But okay, that's why I'm not him. That's why I would never say, oh, okay, I'll just find a day job. let's do something weird like finding a day job. Oh. Even though it hasn't been like that, I still feel like, oh, shouldn't I feel work has always had such a low priority in my life. I always thought that, no, it's about being happy, it's about love and friendships, not even love. Like, relationships are also very low on the priority scale. Because I'm a bit of a love cynic at times. No, that's the wrong word. It's not a love cynic. I love love too. I do think it's a little bit overrated. I'm not really overrated. Like, love itself, like pure love, not the ego relationship love, but really love. How can you overrate that? It's like the most awesome thing ever. Literally, like by its definition, it's kind of the best thing ever. Like the highest vibration out there. God itself, how can there be anything more magical than all that is? But okay, relationship love I think is overrated, and I think I'm a bit against it sometimes, because I think people don't value being single enough, and it's always seen as this state of, you should get out of it as soon as possible, you should be dating, and then finally you're in a relationship again, now you can have a life, you know. And I think that's kind of weird. Oh, the light now is so beautiful here. It's like a bit dark, but then the sun shines on the leaves. Oh, it's little moment of bliss. Yes, that's really what it feels like. So wonderful, these moments, and they're so short. Oh my god. But anyway, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure if I wasted my life. Isn't that also asking way too much of yourself? Building a whole fucking company that's actually like succeeded. It's not that I built it for 2 years and now it's failed and I closed it. It's like succeeding and saying, did I waste my life for the past 2 years? Oh my god. I was talking about this with Julia this week, that we are these people who tend to have really high expectations from ourselves, and like, oh, doing a studies is a waste of time, and building a company a bit slow is a waste of time. Come on, and we can sort of see how ridiculous it is, and at the same time it doesn't fade. We still feel like we should do it all, and except for building my company the past 2 years, I should have also built this tremendous social life and done adventures every single week at the least. You know, and this kind of things. But I do wish I was so happy that I could live a little bit more these last few months in Freiburg and see everything of the city that I haven't seen yet. Like, this deadline can also give a bit of a push to actually do it. But Friday I was feeling really sad and depressed, and then my ex-boyfriend proposed to go to a dancing party, and I felt so mad because I was like, oh my god, I'm crying, and I'm happy if I get myself through the day, and now I'm supposed to go to a dancing party. And in that cry I sort of got mad, and in my head, and it got worse. And then I realized that it wasn't my fault that it felt so heavy all the time to leave my house. Because every single time I feel like I should be something I'm not. I feel like I should alter my face, like get all the hair off my face, because it's so, so shameful to have hair on your face as a woman. And that I should dress nicely and like also appropriate, like having to put a bra on, for example, even at times that I don't feel like having a bra on. And all these stupid rules of what I'm supposed to be. And I thought, no wonder, dear lovely Deuce, if you feel like you can't be yourself and you have to put on some show and continuously prove yourself every time you leave the house, then of course you don't really want to leave the house. Of course you have resistance to going to parties and all of that. It's so natural. How in this society could you feel otherwise? Like only if you're super, super secure and confident, or if you're just so used to going out of the house that you don't really notice it. Because I think in the past I found it easier when I was studying and I had to get out every day almost. Then I was sort of in this routine of proving myself and dressing up and everything, and it was just normal, so normal that I didn't really notice the discomfort that actually gave me. But now I'm always in my comfort zone, always completely myself, because I'm just at home in my pajamas and nobody's really seeing me or asking me anything, and I'm only seeing my boyfriend at the time, who is just accepting all of the hair on my face and the rest of my body. So it's a really different spot, and noticing how great it feels to be yourself. It's much harder to then have to alter yourself again. So, now I think I told everything that's in me. I look forward to making a walk and getting my head a little bit empty again. And then I have to find my way to write the sales emails. Oh my god. Okay, well, thank you for listening, and see you next time.